NXTGEN podcast. Here I have with me my homie, my good friend, Mike G. He's the brand director and co-founder of Chapter 3. If you don't know what that is, we're going to put that shit in the link because you have to know what that is. You're doing good things, brother.
Thanks, man. Thank you.
Yeah, bro, of course. How are things going, bro?
Good, bro. I just living up in the Bay for a second now, but I'm always glad to be back in LA. Just came back from North Carolina, actually, from Dreamville Fest, doing some business out there, man. So it's been fun, man. Just getting back out there.
Yeah.
So that's been good, bro.
No, man. Well, let's give people some background real quick of like what is Chapter 3? What is it about? You know what I'm saying? What are you doing?
Chapter 3 right now is an agency. Currently, we've been doing custom shoes in the past. Currently, we're actually shifting over towards designing and producing originals for folks. So it's been cool, man. It's been such a ground up project. We've been able to help other startups get up and kind of go about within the direction of business, brand development, marketing, as well as design development for shoes. So it's been great, man. The industry's kind of shifting that way. We're glad to kind of be within that niche and kind of just capture the market at the right time, So it's been good, man. A lot of folks want that ownership, and we'll talk a lot about that later as well.
Yeah. Nah, for sure. Look, he's being humble, but he's got deals with. I might mess this up, but Foot Locker.
Yeah, I've done
Reebok?
stuff with them. Yep.
Jordan Brand.
Done stuff with them.
Bro, I mean, I don't know what to say. That shit's crazy. that shit is fire.
Yeah, man.
No,
Thanks, man.
It's cool as fuck. Is that where you, from when you started this company to where you're at now? Are you where do you feel like you're at? Did you foresee yourself working with these companies, with these, you know what I'm saying, with these brands?
Yeah, man. Yes and no. It was kind of weird. My partner was a shoe designer for the Shoe Surgeon, so he was another customizer as well. And even just within the whole understanding of what to do with sneakers, we were just making projects for fun. We clearly have, me and him, a background within basketball, sneakers from our entire lives as well. It became one of those projects where we were like, all right, let's give our perspective on where we see these certain models, and more or less, yeah, man, it just became a matter of perspective, and I think that's all we needed to start.
Yeah.
And it caught attention, it caught eyes. Running a business, had no idea. Running a brand, had no idea what that was about. Running anything, it was none of that. But I did know that I was surrounded by a lot of folks that legitimately were like, man, you guys are sitting on something that you guys could turn into that's really just changing the market and the industry. It's like gold, man. As cliche as I want to say it, but that's really all as it started out as. And, the biggest pieces of advice I've ever gotten was, man, you just got to start, figure out along the way, build the plane as it flies. And that's kind of it, man. And then, yeah, honestly, some of these brand deals that came across, to be completely honest, they weren't what we even perceived those deals to be. So now we're sitting there okay, if it's not what we're making it out to be previously, how do we simplify and get towards our goals, right?
Yeah.
That was the biggest question, our why. So the why ended up, it was so raw. It's a lot of just childish energy, just a lot of hey, imagining it like this, imagining it like this, if we want the industry like this, big broad dreams, right?
Right.
But then once you get into the room, the big room, all the big players, all the big, just the big folks who really control just the bread, the branding, the direction, their agenda, that's where you're starting to sit back and okay, oh yeah, I'd love to work with these big corps, Nike, Jordan, whoever. But at the end of the day, one of the biggest questions our mentors would always ask us was do y'all really need them?
Right.
And then that's where the strategy started coming into play, because we're man, if we want to be able to put ourselves in shoes where we can change the industry, what are some legitimate tangibles that we can actually just for example, right? If I were to literally just break it down brick by brick and just to kind of keep it simple without overdoing it, more or less a basketball shoe that we've always kind of perceived that we would want to see things, and the way it's built, the branding, the art direction, the campaign, why it sits as is, what is the transparency behind the technology, and the just how it's actually created, and give people that perspective of like, oh, wow, these are guys who actually played. They're practitioners of the sport, the science, the art. So how do we give that without having too many people in the room to kind of dictate their own agenda? You just do it yourself. Yeah. But even then, it's like, but then you have to it's a lot of layers because you got to bring it back. It's like, who's our target consumer? Right. Who do we want seeing this? Do they care? And if they do care, like what's the plan to be able to get them to care? What's the emotional buy-in? So then we would bring like our other project when we did the Kobe PG. That got a lot of eyes. It was love, man. It was the one thing that started me and Gabe out was taking a Kobe AD, reimagining the soul with just a simple soul swap, but then being able to bring in my background within biomechanics and doing a case study over at Cal State Fullerton, doing biometrics, getting objective data as far as like, certain tests for vertical jump, lateral movement, walking gait, doing things like that allows us to be like, okay, like, hey, we want you, basketball consumer, who actually like, complains about Nike, Adidas, Reebok, whatever the case is. We want you, that person, to care. Right. How we feel like you guys don't care in the past because there isn't enough transparency behind why it's been created. So we're trying to give you that why. We combine the PG1 soul. Okay, like PG1's is a very nostalgic, very rememberable shoe that's just done very well. Yeah. We also understand like, color blocking design, some of the things that we added on to it. We wanted people to really understand. They're like, man, like they're really hearing us out. These are like the complaints generically that what everybody was complaining about. So we want you guys to care because we're taking care of your needs. Right. So there's certain things like that. I know that was kind of long-winded and it was kind of like all over the place, but hopefully that made somewhat sense.
No, bro, you were cooking for sure. No, it's dope. I remember way back when you posted all that, like when you were like you posted the shoes, the design aspect of it, and then you posted the video of like all the biomechanics and objective measures, like the metrics you were taking from it. Yeah. I thought that was dope. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. Who wouldn't think that's dope? You know what I'm saying? Yeah. You're doing things like you said. You're a practitioner of the art and the biomechanics part of it as well, and you got to like really showcase that. So that was dope, bro.
Yeah, man. Appreciate that. Yeah. Long time coming.
Yeah. Not for real. All right, we'll get back to that in a second. Let's take it back. Let's talk about you, bro. Let's talk about where you grew up, upbringing. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, man. I'll tie in like kind of like what we were talking about with hoops too. I grew up in Anaheim, California, man. Only Asian American around, really, honestly, in a community full of Latinos and just African Americans. And honestly, man, like it's my love for hoop. Started with Kobe. I'm always have been a big Laker fan and everything like that. Yeah, bro. And yeah, man, basketball, it took me to a lot of places. I will say, though, ironically enough, I came from an era where everything was very like, just old school culture, bro. Like do it my way or no way. Right. A lot of politics, obviously. But ultimately, I knew that I loved the game. But what's crazy is, which I hope, whether it's through this platform or a bunch of other platforms or however many times I could say this, is that I hope that, for future generations, when it comes to hoop, that we take the agenda of winning, obviously like, money and, all that to be involved, at least at the elementary foundational level. Hopefully folks out there, man, can give some real guidance to kids without an agenda of their own. Because ultimately, man, like kids are just looking to be accepted. Yeah. That's ultimately what I was looking for. I was very insecure growing up. Basketball was a way that I found acceptance into communities. Yeah, for real. And it was tough, man. It was tough. Like it was a lot of mental blocks that I had to overcome, and into the development of the person that I am today. And basketball taught me a lot, but at the same time, like it also helped me eventually to understand how much basketball just wasn't needed within my DNA to be Mike G, right? Right. A lot of overcoming, but I actually cannot tell you when the love of the game and my need for social acceptance or to just prove people wrong, I don't know when that crossed over. I don't know when I stopped loving the game and started wanting to actually just prove people wrong more, to be honest with you. Like it was, junior high, came off the bench. That was crazy. 8th grade, like I didn't even make the team, even though I was clearly one of the best players in the school. I got hurt. I don't know if that was a factor, but and they were trying to play that into, but it was just, that's bullshit in my opinion. But anyways, there was that. High school, you know, it was very hell bent on just like a lot of. Honestly, I was talented, but I had a lot of that blocked off because I was just so terrified of my coach. I was so, I don't know, man. Like there was never a good enough amount of communication for me to understand, or even, I mean, to be honest, he was just terrible. He didn't know the game. He thought he did. He talked a lot of shit. It was a lot of white supremacy within that context of like, hey, like this is how I've been drilled in the past. This is what I've seen handed down. I've seen the Bob Knights and stuff like that. I went to his camp. All right, like what does that have to do with me?
Right.
The kid that's in front of you right now. And honestly, like they fell short of that. And for me, like that just, it hurt me, you know, and I knew I was developing and I knew I had talent. They couldn't see that, unfortunately, but that's where eventually, like, I was getting looked at for colleges, but then now, like, bringing it back another layer of being an Asian American first gen, like, my dad was like, well, you're not leaving home, you know, even if you get a scholarship, like, unless you get a full ride, like, I'm not letting you leave. So the certain universities I was speaking to, I was like, man, like, I just let it go because I was so scared. It was just fear, a lot of fear. Yeah. But I did tell myself within the given parameters of and being resourceful of what I had, I was like, man, like I'm already going up against D1 guys and doing great, like in prospects and within the high school scene. Let's see how I do in Cal State Fullerton. So walked on over there. That was a process in itself, but I knew I could make it. Yeah. And it was like, even within that given context, there were so many layers of like what I had to do. I had to show up at the coach's office like every day for 6 months just to get a workout. And by the time I got the workout, like I got a phone call like at 6 p.m. I was like chilling with my girl at the time. I had just got done with a full workout, like 3 hours of like hoop and lifting. And then I was laying on the couch. Next thing you know, they're like, Mike G's, it's time. Like you got to pull up. And I was like, okay, let's go. And I went, I killed the workout. And then after that, like, you know, coach brought the team in and was like, hey guys, this is Mike G. He's going to be joining us next year. Yeah. And that was crazy, bro.
That's
like
crazy.
That was nuts. Like that was like a huge sense of accomplishment. Even my college experience wasn't what I wanted it to be, but you know, that was due to like coaches getting fired and all these other things that happened in between. But that's where it led me to pro basketball. Yeah. And then pro basketball, that was, man, like I was projected to be like this top pick in the Philippines and this and that or whatever. Killed my first couple workouts, got good offers, but then politics came into play. And then now this is where like the other DNA of Mike G comes in, because I actually have a huge problem with cultural identity. Yeah. You know, because I'm a quarter Filipino. Right. My mom is actually half Spanish, which is like kind of rare, even though Filipinos have Spanish blood, she's actually half. So then on top of that, like my dad is full Chinese. So I never really grew up in a household where Filipino values were really spoken to me. That was really hard for me. And even then, just Asian culture, right? Just in general, like I actually grew up in an Asian church. And I was a black sheep there for sure. Like I grew up so differently from everyone else. Like I grew up with Latinos and black people, but then I have Asian people that I'm also surrounded within certain communities, within big parts of my DNA, right? Like there's Chinese, but that was like church. Yeah. I love God. Like I'm a very devout Christian. That was like one thing to navigate. And then when it came to basketball, that's where like even the Filipino side, at least just in the pro scene, my first year, that was really tough because everybody was like, oh, like Mike G is a problem. But then it's like, okay, like, why am I a problem? Because I'm not succumbing to your cultural traditions, right? Which ultimately I can respect. But at the same time, there was a lack of empathy and a barrier that there wasn't a means of understanding, you know? And then,
but they're not going to go there.
Yeah.
Because they just live within their own bubble. You know
exactly. So that hurt me though. It was tough. Yeah. And then nobody really wanted to understand my situation, but I found good people there. Yeah. Which, you know, even my best friend Ant, that dude took me to Indonesia. And I went over there, and then this is where, I mean, if you guys aren't getting this by now, the whole like don't quit thing, man, I know all about it, you know. It was a long road. Even Indonesia, I was supposed to get naturalized to be Indonesian so I could play on like their Olympic team. Yeah. Dude, like the other rival team within the league, they blocked my papers because they thought it was unfair that we had a third import. We were supposed to only have two, but they wanted to naturalize me.
That import shit, bro. That's like the real politics of international hoops, bro. This shit's crazy.
Yeah, it's nuts, bro. Did that. Was in a very dark place for, I want to say, 7 months in Austin, Texas. My girlfriend was living there at the time, and I was down on my luck, man. Like, I had no money. I was reselling all my shoes. I was going to Ross, like finding shoes to resell on eBay.
Damn.
I sold all my stuff just so I can not get a part-time job, which, I mean, wouldn't have been bad. But I know for me personally, like, dude, like, I was staying up to like 2, 4 in the morning. I mean, this is, you know, like, obviously within the given context of strength and conditioning. This is not, we don't condone this, but 2 to 4 a.m., like, just on the phone overseas, like, all right, who do I got to call? Like, what's this manager's name? Like, all right, you know, am I going to get on the phone with him? Can you call him for me? Like, I'm calling, like, around. My boy Ant, you know, he did a really good job just helping me. Honestly, like, he didn't give me any direct connections, but he kept me going, man. He really put his word down when he was like, man, I'm going to help you figure this out. And it was wild, bro. Like, he really didn't end up doing anything for me when I got my deal for China, but dude, he was on the phone with me every night. So that was mad loyalty, mad love. So find good people in your corner, man, to really help you. And we all need somebody, you know, we can't do anything on our own.
No, for sure.
But yeah, man, so I did that, and then eventually, you know, like, I mean, it was crazy, bro. Mental health is a real thing too. Like, I thought about killing myself, and you know, if I didn't make it, like, what was I worth? Like, if I did all this for what? You know, basketball just still wasn't fulfilled with me. But then I did have to come to the realization that I have so much more to live for outside of basketball. Yeah. And I prayed to God. I was like, hey, if it doesn't happen by January, I got to give it up. And December, I got a phone call. And turned out it was a team in China looking for a player. And then I went out and did that. And then I played in Thailand as well. Came back to China, played again. And that was it for me, man. I was like, man, I got my satisfaction. Like, I'm good to go, you know?
That's dope, man.
Yeah, man.
Damn. What was it like? Man, everyone that I hear that goes to China, bro, I don't hear good things about living in China, bro. But
yeah.
What was your experience like?
You know, ironically enough, favorite place to live overseas, hooping wise, was Indonesia. People are beautiful. They're mainly a Muslim country. Right. Shows so much respect and love, man. Like, a lot of empathy. I did run into a few cultural barriers where, like, folks didn't understand me and they kind of jumped to conclusions. But ultimately, man, like, those people were just doing right by them, and great folks, man, who were just more than willing to help me, which is great. I love those people to death. As far as China, I mean, like, my situation was a lot different. Yeah. Within the given context of, like, how I was originally playing and living, it was solid. Country it's tough, you know, like, if you don't have, like, a guide and you don't really, like, have, like, kind of a good foot forward moving forward, it's a little hard to figure it out. But honestly, like, it wasn't that bad. And like, you know, they took care of us. We had good living, hotel, food. You know, I was there for like a year. Yeah. So it was good, bro. Like, and the fans, in my opinion, were the best. I was playing in stadiums with like tens of thousands of fans and stuff like that. So that was love, bro. They love basketball. Yeah. It wasn't like the best ideal situation a lot of times, but man, like, I loved it for what it was, you know?
No, that's love for real. And shout out to the Hoopers out in Indonesia, bro. I miss those guys.
Yeah. Bro, that's so crazy that you were actually like their SNC guy for the summer and stuff. That's nuts, bro. Yeah. Full circle.
Yeah, it's some full circle shit. Yeah. Nah, bro, I love those guys. They were so locked in with me, and I had a great time, man. And yeah, their coaches they were trying to pull me back to Indonesia with them. I told you about this, but I was like, I'm not trying to. Bro, they got anacondas out there. I'm good.
bro, we used to see like outside of our window. You know what water monitors are?
No.
They're like literally like just a tiny bit smaller than Komodo dragons. Oh. So like the length of this room, bro.
What? Like a big ass lizard?
Like a dinosaur, bro.
Damn.
Like I literally saw this lizard shake trees, bro, in front of our mansion. It was dope, bro. It was wild. We had like a little moat, like river thing in front of our mansion. We had like these like water monitors swimming by. You see their heads and stuff. Or like they'd just be like crawling around. Gigantic, dangerous too. Yeah.
Nah, I don't fuck with that, bro.
We had like owl. It was literally a jungle. Like it's crazy because there was that, and then across the river, which is very small. Like it was only like I don't know, like 60 60, 70 feet wide. And then the neck right over there is like a tiny jungle for tourists to like chill at, because we're in Jakarta, where there was just mad monkeys there, bro. So it's like literally you just walk across the river and like, bro, there'd just be monkeys swinging on the trees and stuff like that. It was nuts, bro.
Bro, that's crazy.
It was nuts. It was an experience.
Nah, bro, that's some Jurassic Park shit. I'm good. I'm good,
bro, for real.
Bro, every time I look on like social media, whatever, and it's like woman in Indonesia gets eaten alive by a snake. I'm like, bro, stop.
Bro,
I could never, bro. I could never, bro.
It's nuts, bro.
No, I don't fuck with that.
Yeah.
No, that's a crazy ass story though. I love to hear that, man. That's dope. And like I definitely identify with like the cultural identity issues, because like I was definitely a black sheep like growing up. Like I in like middle school, high school, like I kicked it with the black kids and the Latinos, like, and it was on some like I talked to this about with my homie Cash, because him and I went to the same middle school. And it was back when, like, you know, being a thug and everything was cool, and, you know, everybody was fighting for no reason, like, and there was like hella like racial tension at the time between blacks and Mexicans especially, and I had friends on both sides, and like at the same time though, like obviously I had my Persian friends, like we were all, you know, doing our thing, but like I also didn't feel like I was necessarily not accepted. I just didn't like really relate, you know what I'm saying? Because they're like, I didn't grow up like most Persian Jewish people that I know. They're like, they grew up, you know, really well off, and good for them. Like it's all good, but like as a result of that, their behaviors were different. Their behaviors were different than mine. Their priorities were different than mine. It was just like, and it was just different. So like all my friends came from hoop growing up. You know what I'm saying? Just playing at school, playing at lunch, being on the team, whatever it was. You know what I'm saying? So, I feel that, because it was like, and it was also crazy because it was like three-pronged. It was like I'm not Persian enough to kick it with the Persian kids. I'm not white enough to kick it with the white kids. I'm not black enough to kick it with the black kids. I'm not Mexican enough to kick it with the Mexican kids. So I'm like stuck in the middle. Like everything is very like surface level. All the relationships I had were very surface level. You know what I'm saying? And the only like real friends I had were like the friends I had like growing up. You know, like on some elementary school or whatever. You know, other shit.
Yeah.
So that was something I had to deal with for a long time. Is just like first understanding what that is and the why, and then, you know, and how to navigate that. But
yeah, man,
weird shit.
No, I feel you, bro. I'm it's something that that hurts, bro. Like actually hurts. You know, I totally understand. I mean, we're coming up in a time where everybody's just trying to belong, right?
Right.
You know, and then when you don't have that sense of belonging, it becomes overwhelming. You know, like especially within, you know, culture, community. Yeah, man, like I never fit anywhere. Even like even Polynesians, bro. Like some of my best friends are Polynesian or Micronesian, like from the Pacific Islands. Like sure, we share like a little bit of DNA with them, but I'm mainly Asian as well. So it's like I can't even fully immerse myself within that, because it's like, man, we're not fully them. But at the same time, been more than accepted within certain communities.
For sure.
And which is great. It's beautiful in its own way, and I think I'm still struggling, but I'm still trying to learn that and accept that. And that's something that, like, when it comes to like my kids, and ultimately, like Joe Rogan said it best, right? He's like, one day, man, we're all just gonna be people. Like nobody's gonna be necessarily a race. Like everybody's gonna be so mixed. It is what it is. And I want my kids to understand their background, but also I want them to understand like what it means to empathize with folks. And that's it, right? Like that's what makes empathy hard, bro, is because we grow up within certain cultural traditions and mannerisms. So then when you look at how one person deals with the situation, it's like, oh, that's not me.
Yeah.
And that's like my biggest weakness, right? For me, it was a very like, I've always had like a fight or flight mentality of like, oh, you're not fucking with me. Like, all right, that's it for you. You know what I mean? But at the same time, expecting me and my reactions from somebody else, you know, that's definitely something I need to work on. And that was a means of survival, right? Like that's always been my biggest thing, is like humans want to survive. Any culture, any country around the world, you'll see their mannerisms as to how their survival skills are. Philippines, you're either with the rich and you stay with the rich, or within certain organizations and you kiss ass in order to kind of like keep this ego stroked. Right. So that way you're within good graces to keep your family alive, to get money. Yeah. And then when it comes to the poor folks, a lot of times the poor folks have to finesse, be a little shiesty, you know, kind of do what they got to do
Right.
in order for them to get money and scrape by to support their family, support themselves. And it's a cycle, man. It's something that's never ending. But I found, like some beautiful folks in between who've been able to not have money as necessarily a priority, whether that means they're on the higher end of the spectrum of income or lower. I found a lot of that in between. And honestly, man, like that's just, it's tough, bro. Our country, everyone's country's been constructed in a way that has a means for survival. So, and based off of their hardware, of their DNA, they're going to only they're going to choose sides. They're going to choose a certain lifestyle, which is so drastic, right? Without getting too political or getting within constructs of like school systems. But you really are just getting pushed to one end of the spectrum or the other. You know, it's very hard to live in the middle and have a satisfying lifestyle based off of like what your needs are. Needs, right? Everybody's got needs. But taking the time now to understand ownership and to understand like what we're trying to do, even as entrepreneurs, is great. But at the same time, like I still, everyone's got their given situation. Everybody's made choices in the past. Doesn't mean they can't change or do something else. But that, at the same time, doesn't mean they can't find happiness.
Right.
Just because you work in a 9-to-5 and doing whatever the fact is, if you love what you do, you love your family, you love your community, you love your impact on who you're doing things for, by all means. But for us, like we've been blessed with certain decisions and certain situations where we can take our time, we can learn. That's what we're doing. Clearly, like none of us are. Oh, that's done for. But clearly, none of us are in a situation, even like with even me and you, right? Like we're not in the spot where we see our end goals at. But at the same time, I do appreciate the journey, bro. Like, I mean, we're literally taking our time to be able to put ourselves in a situation to be successful. And it takes a little bit more time, but man, like I'll take those 5 years of grind over like 20 years of just doing something I don't want to do.
Yeah, no, for sure, bro. Like we're trying to build something,
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
I'm definitely gonna fix this.
Yeah, no, handle it, bro. And while you fix that, bro, let's transition because we didn't even talk about we talked about obviously your hoop background and you know what I'm saying, and then but we didn't talk about like you did strength and conditioning for a minute. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
That reaction though.
Oh man.
Wait, actually, real quick before you even talk about that, you said earlier, like I don't know why you said this. You said you were on the phone, like you said this isn't okay in like strength and conditioning, whatever culture, and then you talked about like being on the phone at 2 to 4 a.m. What did you mean by that?
Oh, the 2 to 4 a.m. thing was well, that was like when I was trying to make sure that I got like an overseas job again.
Yeah.
So that was that's right. That's what I was talking about. No, basically, I mean, strength and conditioning, right? Like we know better with science now, right? I mean, you like get your objective 7 to 8 hours of sleep, for performance given reasons. And shout out to Cove. Like, I don't know where in the mix or how far along like performance, mental capacity, and just being young of these spectrums are, and as to like how I ended up making it back to like the pro level. But ultimately, like, yeah, man, I mean, I grew up in a time where I would wake up 4 a.m., 5 a.m. to get to the school gym, and I'd put electric tape on the doors just to be able to sneak into the gyms, bro. Like,
oh shit.
Like and when the gyms were locked up, like the baseball team would be forced to be out there at like 6 a.m. They'd see me running the track, doing push-ups, like working on my handle in the street, like in the outside courts. Be like, man, is that Mike G? Man, like that's always been my brand, bro. Like, I mean, Kobe was, something that I always idolized. He's always somebody that I always wanted to emulate. And it was just always like, the whole harder is better thing, right?
Yeah.
Like we've always pushed ourselves to the limit. I'm still struggling with that balance now because I'm like, man, like it was so mentally gripping, not even draining, just like gripping as far as like you really want to make sure that you do anything by any means to make it. Right. So it's like, I need to send an extra text message. I need to make another phone call. I need to take another shot. I need to lift a little bit more weights. And within the given context of strength and conditioning and just mental health and how to be successful and saving your mental sanity, it's just like, dang, that's so backwards. But I did have the more.
Got you. That's what you meant.
Yeah.
Okay.
That's what I had more of the mental capacity to be able to handle that in my 20s.
Yeah, for sure.
God bless. I got my dream. You know, thankfully, it worked out. It happened. I made it. Could I have been a much more, just a better athlete in general had I like had the knowledge that I have now? Probably.
Yeah.
You know, within the context of skill development, just how to actually make proper gains like, athletically, without destroying my body for like, you know, all those years, dude, like, and my mind as well. Like I would have had a different approach to the game. I think that would have been much, much different. That's kind of what I was meaning by that.
Got you. All right, bet. No, I love hearing that, bro. It's you put in all the work, you know what I'm saying? You did everything you could have. You left no stone unturned. So, nah, good for you, for real.
Yeah, appreciate that.
All right, now let's talk about strength and conditioning. So
Yeah.
you come back, you go to Fullerton, you play there, you play overseas, you do your thing, you come back home, and then what?
S&C was always like something where, ironically enough, like this is how far along I've came. But at first I thought I'm gonna come home, I'm gonna manage a job at 24 Hour Fitness and work myself into the ground for $100K a year, you know, and call that financial stability.
All right.
You know, which is nuts. But at the end of the day, and even then, like when I got back, here's another thing that I'll kind of like reference a little later as well. But you're only as smart as, honestly, man, this is the first time I'm gonna say it, you're only as smart as how organized you are, honestly. You know, because your ability to actually articulate and have an eye, yeah, that's cool. But are you really able to organize those thoughts in a way to be efficient within your approach and your principle, like even in having like proper principles, right? To be able to structure that. That's everything, man. Like that's what I've been finding out is like, even when I'm doing like this chapter 3 stuff, I think I was just crazy unorganized these first handful of years. As of recently, like I've been really getting my organization up and really like providing deliverables for clients that are just, I've always had those, you know, but like within the context of being able to structure thought, that's something that has really been a game changer for me.
Yeah.
Why are we doing the things that we're doing? Who are we doing it for? How do we bridge that gap?
Yeah.
You know? And when it came to S&C, I was like, oh man, like, do I need a CSCS? I've always like, for me, gold standard stuff has always been just like something for me. Like, yeah, I don't want to leave stones unturned. I know what I'm capable of. I've seen S&C coaches. I know like I'm just as smart as those guys. So 3 months, I didn't talk to anybody. I just grinded 3 months straight book. Literally just like S&C, like, you know, NSCA stuff, like literally just got study guides and all that stuff and really just grinded. And thankfully I passed on my first try and approached 24 Hour Fitness. They're like, oh, we'll boost you up to master trainer right away. And I'm like thinking about it. The dude who was hiring me is a great guy. I love that dude, Mike. But at the same time, I was like sitting there and I'm like, man, like, could I be doing more? And I had so many friends who were like, no, you need to start somewhere. Like, you know, don't think too big. Like, you know what I mean? You got to pay your dues and this and that. And I was like, man, fuck that, bro. I'm pulling up. Like, I literally found this random gym out in the valley and I saw Amon Shumpert was there. So I just DM'd the dude. I was like, bro, I actually didn't have my CSCS yet. I actually didn't have it yet, but I was like, you know what? Fuck it. Like, I have pro basketball experience, D1 basketball experience under my belt. I know what I'm doing. I know what I'm looking for. I know what I'm capable of. And could I have called that, like, honestly, just like unconscious, like a little bit of arrogant confidence? Like, yeah, sure, whatever. I don't care. What? Yeah, fuck it. And like, if I got shot down, like, I was like, man, what is that? I was like, I've been know what that's like, you know? Yeah. So fuck it. I went. And then, pulled up there, honestly, just an awful establishment. Like as far as like organization and integrity, that was just like the worst when it came to like my experience within that. But I did great. I got my CSCS. I had 3 athletes over the summer, made insane gains. And as terrible objectively as like surface level, even just saying this now, which I don't believe the given context of even how I'm saying this validates me. But I was like, yeah, like I had a guy like get 6 inches of vertical jump. I had another guy get 5. I had another guy gain 20 pounds, stay under 10% body fat. I had another guy like, you know, increase his 40 times. I was doing all that stuff. Even then, like a lot of the times they were just young guys just developing too. They were in college as well. So I mean, I don't give it all up to me and like what I was doing, but at the same time, that's where my experience corporate wise, right, was like really jaded, because it was like they were like, oh, like they gave me these objectives, right? It was, even then, it wasn't objective in itself. They were like, oh, if your athletes make good gains and, you know, if you get your CSCS, you can make $30 an hour as opposed to 18. And I'm like, all right, cool, I'll do that. Man, killed it across the board. Literally all the goals that the clients had for themselves, I smashed them like by a mile. Like they were like, man, like I only wanted to gain 10 pounds. I gained 20 and I'm doing windmills now. You know, I got another guy who's like, bro, like I'm out here actually like cocking it back, dunking. Like I'm faster, I'm quicker, I'm stronger than I've ever felt, you know, blah, blah. I've gained this much weight. And I'm like, great. And I got my CSCS. There's only like 3 of us in there with CSCSs. And next thing you know, they came up to me and they were just like, yeah, by the way, within, you know, basically we're going to offer you $18. And I was like, what? And then like they started hitting. That's where the integrity, and that's just what I just couldn't stand for, was like all the bullshit was coming into play. I was like, you said if I get my CSCS and my athletes hit good markers, I'm going to get paid like the full amount. Oh, I never said that. I'm like, bro, now you calling me a liar? I was like, bro, what is this, you know? And it, ironically enough, they had another guy in there who was trying to like overpower me, stand up over me, like, oh, like, you know, you only get, because he actually played at Cal State Fullerton. And he said that he was the reason why I got the job in the first place. Mind you, I was driving 2.5 hours to be there one way, just because I wanted to be in a network, in a place where it was unconventional. There was a different type of audience that I could tap into. Yeah. And honestly, man, like, yeah, like I just knew what was capable within like making bread and, you know, the prestige and all that crap. But then he started hitting me with that stuff. And I was like, what? Like, I was like, first off, don't stand up and talk to me no crazy type of way. I was like, look, I got here on my own. My resume speaks for itself. I've done my job. I'm being professional. All this over masculine, just narcissistic business crap that you're trying to hang over my head. I'm like, bro, I ain't got time for this. You know what's crazy? And I made him look crazy too, because I was like, bro, you know what's crazy? Within the given context of running a business, which if you knew anything about that, you would have just done this and told me, hey, budgets, we just can't cut the 30 no more. This is all we can afford to pay you. And if I would have found out that was bullshit later, all right, whatever. But at the same time, you could have literally just told me like you just couldn't do it within the given context of money. You couldn't even do that. You had to literally just say that I was like a liar. Right. That was nuts. Went to another gym as well in West Hollywood. We're not gonna say names. It's okay. I'm being respectful. But I talk my shit though, bro. Like, you know, I want folks out there to understand what their worth is, and I want them to understand that they shouldn't be intimidated by glitz and glamour. Yeah. Because I was training like some of the biggest celebrities, bro. Like, you know, like you were there too, you know, in your past. So it's like, you know, Chris Pratt, Wiz Khalifa, whatever, all those big names, whatever. And folks were trying to leverage that into being like, oh, you need to work here for free, or we're never going to bring up the context of money because you're just going to be a long-term intern. But I was smarter than that at that point. So obviously life and value, as well as the value in itself, is not about money. I worked there for free on purpose for 7 months until somebody broke their hand, like one of the trainers. They had no choice but to pay me. And then they asked me never to come back after that because they didn't want to keep paying me. And the biggest problem for that, for them and me, was like, one, I was free help. But at the same time, I saw the value in the network there. A lot of folks there. Yeah, bro. Like, folks there were just like, Mike G, you want to train the rest of your life? And I was like, I mean, yeah, you're supposed to pick a trade and you stick with that and that's it, right? They were like, bro, you're crazy. Like, look around. They're like, bro, folks here are worth millions, tens of millions, hundreds of millions, billions. They're like, what are you doing? They were like, bro, like, you're young. Figure it out. You know what I mean? Find something that you really believe in, that you care about, and really figure out how to make that work. And I was like, and like, bro, they were throwing numbers at me like 100, like 300K, like 500K. They're like, yeah, that's fine. You know, that's cool. You know, they're like, I guess that's okay. And me, I'm like sitting there like, that's nuts, you know? But that's where I guess we can like kind of transition into the value of ownership and entrepreneurship. But that's where I met Gabe, my partner, and he wanted to do something on his own. And I've always been a fan of sneakers. And at first it started off as a YouTube channel. You know, we were just going to like, you know, customize shoes, do performance reviews on them. And then it became
that would have been dope.
Yeah, it would have been. It's still cool. Like, we did that one case study. Like, that was great. It took a lot of work.
Yeah.
But honestly, like, I just feel like our purpose has changed since then. And it did get us started. But man, like, that's where I was training like Martellus Bennett at the time, and a couple of these other folks, like, just great mentors who were literally just telling me like, Mike G, like, there's so much that you could do. You guys just got to start. And that's kind of like what it's led to. And as far as ownership and entrepreneurship goes, it just allows us to understand how to make money, how much money that we can make. We could do it our way.
Yeah.
That's great. And on top of that, like, it's something that's, we finally control that narrative, everything that we've been dealing with in the past, being wronged by folks, or, them not doing business the right way, them not doing art the right way. That's where like me and Gabe have been able to lean on one another and to help us build this thing. Yeah. And there's been a lot of like bumps in the road in order to like figure all that out. But, still going strong, doing great things. That's all we can ask for, man. Yeah. Fashion has a really high ceiling, and it's fun, bro. Like, just seeing like product come to life, like these, like we designed to help develop with Stuart Weitzman. Like, bro, like these came out beautifully. Unfortunately, like, we weren't able to affect the campaign and advertising and marketing and branding around like the way that we wanted this product to be seen. But that's just empowered us even more to do it our way. Needing to be able to develop proprietary product, which we're doing under another brand name now, me and Gabe.
Oh, really?
Yeah. But that's it, man. Like, you got to be able to control your own narrative, in my opinion. Like, it takes a lot.
Yeah.
But at the same time, like, learning the value of money, living under my means for years, and finding the beauty in that, finding the beauty and the happiness, honestly, within struggle. Because I've been dealing with a lot of mental anxiety and depression over the past few years, and even like months, right? But even then, like, even this past month has been so good for me, because I got back to my roots. I started learning again. I started, reading again, listening to audiobooks this time instead of podcasts. Like, I started diving in deeper for strategy, developing deliverables for clients, and, being able to master my craft. Because my biggest thing was imposter syndrome. I'm like, bro, like, I was a strength and conditioning coach one day. Next thing you know, I'm on a rooftop bar. Gabe quits his job, and he's like, yeah, I'm going 100% in. I'm going all in with this guy. And I'm like, I'm responsible for this guy now? Bro, that was nuts. Like, I still trip out about that. Yeah. But now I'm like, for the past few years, we've been getting jobs, which has been a blessing, that have like kind of fallen in our laps, or, we've sought out folks and, they pass our name off, and network is great, networking. But being able to sit back and get hit by adversity, I was like, what do I do? Like, how do I get past this? How do I get past this imposter syndrome? How do I not only validate myself, but also like just give myself that empowerment that I need in order to keep going forward, right? I needed to feel like I needed to just be strong and happy within my work. So learning about branding, marketing, advertisement, business development, going back to the foundations of all of that, and being able to just go brick by brick and understand, like, oh man, like, I should be pretty much paying myself last, Right. But within like the given context, which is a conversation for another time, like, I was pushed into a state of survival. Me and my girlfriend, she's been trying to get to California to be a nurse, and we've been tackling adversity within that context. And I've been able to like provide financially while still running a business. Yeah. So that was like one thing, but man, like, we still going. That was crazy. Like, and she's done so much for me. Yeah, man. It's one of those things where like me and Gabe, we've both had to do what we had to do in order to take care of ourselves. And while running a business, and kind of taking a step back into understanding, like, okay, like, where does the money go? Why do we need it to go there? What's the payout going to be? Getting really organized within that context has allowed us to really see, like, okay, this is what the future of scaling is. Like, this is how we scale. This is how we get to those 7, 8, 9, 10 figures that we want to get to. Yeah. It's possible. Like, we're even helping another startup as well, and like, we're a part of that. It's like, now we're understanding like what it takes. You know what I mean? So
that was big time. I'm gonna take you back for a second. So you said something super profound, and I still struggle. I mean, I'm struggling with this currently, I guess. But you said what you were saying before about being in a place with the upper echelon, high affluent type of demographic when you were still coaching and everything, and and they were telling you like, bro, you want to train the rest of your life? I had clients ask me that too, and I was just like, yeah, what do you mean? Like, just like you said you're supposed to pick a trade, be fucking great at it, and stick with it. And that's bullshit. And it's crazy that's bullshit, because that's something that's something in the past that I've looked at other people and like, bro, look at them, bro. They're fucking, look at this. I don't know what to call them. Like, look at this sellout. Like, they didn't have what it takes to stick with it. They didn't have what it takes to grind. They didn't have what it takes to, whatever, you know what I'm saying? To stick with it and see and get the fruits of their labor. You know what I'm saying? Like, you put in 1 year, 2 years, 5 years, 10 years of work, you know, and then you reap your rewards. But even that's kind of bullshit. Like, it's not bullshit if you truly love what you do and you're going to stick with it. But like, if you're not truly satisfied and you think you can transcend what you're currently doing, then like, it's a whole different conversation. You know what I'm saying? So that's where like imposter syndrome for I guarantee you that shit set in for you. It sets in for me now, and I didn't even change careers. You know what I'm saying? So
yeah,
no, it was just that just hit me. I wanted to just bring that up.
Yeah,
that hit me for real.
No, I mean, that's why we relate really well. You know, it's as human beings, we have so many interests. It's like, why only get paid for one?
Right.
You know, and within the context of money, like, money is money, right? Like, obviously we need to understand the value of it and the value of us and be able to make and bridge that gap. But ultimately, man, like, I mean, we understand what it's going to take for financial independency, but that'll come, you know, within the given context of like, I know what that number is, right?
Right.
How I get there, is that tangible? Cool. Now, let me make sure that whatever I get to that, I'm bridging the gap of my integrity and the why that I'm doing something, and be able to get to that, to the point where you're like, I'm making the bread that I want, but at the same time, I'm not sacrificing my values. I'm doing something that I love.
Right.
And all of that, right? Maybe it's not something you absolutely love, but it's something you like. It's something you're good at. You're finding value within your time. Because I don't want people to get too mixed up within the fact of like passion, right? Passion can be a false guide sometimes, man. Some people are just like, man, like I'm 100% passionate in this, so that means I have to play in the NBA.
Right.
It's like, you know, that within basketball, right? It's like, you may be passionate about basketball. There may be a time where you can affect the game of basketball in a different way. That's because if it's not realistic for certain people to make it to the league, there can be a way to still be a part of that world if you really want to. But, you know, it's all about like our resources, proximity, right? It's like, or proximity wise, if I know I have access to these resources within arm's reach, I should take advantage of that, maximize those potentials, and then move on to something else once I feel like I have like the autonomy to do so.
Right.
So it's just, man, we're humans, man. Like, we have such a long life. Like, that's where my goal is, man. Like, I want to make movies one day, be a producer, like, you know, for sure, maybe a director one day or whatever. But even then, I have to give my current respects to that. Like, I have to learn the traditional ways first in order. I have all these cool ideas, but that's just too much strategy. Like, I still need to back it up and put that within a given context of organization.
Of course, you can't disrespect the industry and the professionals in that industry. It's like somebody, you know, just like for me, it's like somebody coming out thinking they can train so and so, you know, without the proper background certifications and beyond. You know what I'm saying? It's disrespectful to me as a professional. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
so
man.
It's disrespectful to any industry. So it's like, yeah, you want to make sure you're doing, you know, you have the right mentality and the right approach for sure.
Yeah, I mean, working for free, right? Like, we've done our time,
bro.
We've done internships, we've shadowed, we've seen like what the best have done, how they execute. Oh, we need that. Yeah. You can't just walk up in a room and like full of like A-list actors and expect to be able to control the room you've never been in.
Right.
So that's where honestly, yeah, man, like I'm excited for that journey. I mean, hopefully, you know, like at that point, I'm financially independent. I've got businesses running for me, and then I can kind of just intern, go back to school a little bit, do all that good stuff for fun, and that would be nuts, bro. That's another goal of mine. But yeah, man, we're dynamic human beings. That's all I have to say about that.
Yeah.
It's I feel like we should continue to pursue excellence in wherever we want to, but at the same time, like going about it in a way that we respect that process and we enjoy that process, honestly,
Yeah.
as cliche as that is. Right.
No, absolutely, bro. Damn, that was crazy. We just talked about some shit. That was dope. All right, I got one last question because I feel like we didn't even answer this.
Oh yeah.
Bro, what does chapter 3 even mean? What does the name chapter 3 even mean? How'd you come up with that?
It came from Gabe. His favorite player was Allen Iverson. His favorite number is 3.
Okay.
He believed it was his third chapter of his journey. One was learning his trade, or actually learning a passion, which was basketball, learning a trade, which was sneaker design, and working within the context of, evolving that and being able to work for it, and getting a process of his own.
Yeah.
And then chapter 3 was doing it his way, doing
That's
it on
dope.
his own. That was his third chapter, which obviously is very relatable. I mean, it's something that I fell into, like, definitely sneakers in chapter 3 was my third chapter. There was hoop for me, then S&C, then this, which within the context of pro hoop and S&C, running a business and being a business person,
Right.
whatever that means, which ultimately, like, if I were to really pinpoint one objective thing that I learned from those trades, it was more or less like just value and being able to ask for it.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, pro basketball, I was an Asian American point guard, dime a dozen, right? That was especially an American import. So I'm competing against every race and
Right.
all of that. So I had to learn how to ask within that context. S&C, I thought I was the best. I was like, basketball, fighting. That was the thing too. Like, if any S&C coaches are listening to this, studying fighting and the given context within energy developments, or energy system development, that really like turned the tables for me and allowed me to understand the meaning of supplemental and just being able to add on and give folks who are doing proper skill development and within the context of practice, a proper training program that allows for them to be maximized. That was great. But man, I'll talk shit, bro. I was only in the game for like 2 years, but I felt like I was one of the best, and I felt like I could have been anywhere. Yeah. I've had like even to the point where NBA jobs were seeking me out or whatever. It wasn't something that I loved it, but at the same time, like it was getting pushed to a place where I didn't want that to be my business anymore. Like, it just wasn't fulfilling anymore for me personally.
Yeah, bro. There's a lot of people around that, like, I had to stick with it, but like, there's people around that, like, I know that ruined it for you, and they almost ruined it for me too. You know what I'm saying? So I feel you on that. There's just like, first of all, there's just like, we're in LA, bro. There's too many people out here doing the same shit we're doing that aren't as qualified, that didn't take the necessary steps, that aren't willing to take the time to learn and like do what it takes to be one of the best. Like, and that's something that bugs me. And I know we just talked about, I said something earlier about like, sticking to one thing and that toxic mentality, but I think this is where it's not toxic at all. Is like, if you're not great, like whatever you do for a living, it could be strength and conditioning or whatever, law, it doesn't matter. If you're not great at what you do, like, what are you doing with your life? Like, you know what I'm saying? What are you spending your time doing? Why are you wasting your time? Like, how are you not going to strive to be one of the best at whatever you choose to spend all of your time doing? Because we spend more time working than we do anything else. You know what I'm saying? More time with our friends, more time with our family, more time chilling, like whatever it is. Like, if you're going to spend more time doing this thing, you should be fucking great at it. You know what I'm saying? So you can excel and like we're talking about, like, transcend it one day. And like, you can transcend your profession one day. You know what I'm saying? But like, there's levels to this shit. You know what I'm saying? So.
Yeah, and I'll hop in on that one too, because I know, like, as you're like building everything out, and we talk a lot about like your brand. I think that's it, right? Like, I think, I know how, like, when it was really raw, it was more of like, I want to show the industry that I'm not a fraud.
Yeah, for sure.
But honestly, like, you backtrack even more, it really comes to show, it's like you backtrack that even more to in a place in your heart of how you're different. It is about you and your integrity and your approach, and the fact that you did take the time. That's where the focus is going to be, because that's where, like, even with branding, anything you personify within content, marketing, any form of piece that has your name, face, or brand on it out there in the world, they need to feel like a sense of like safety, right?
Yeah.
They need to feel a sense of like not necessarily like, because anybody could fake like a super athletic, like fear, like, you know what I mean, like strong. What's another adjective that's just like just elite, right? Elite training is everybody's elite out here. Everybody's elite. Everybody, no matter your cert, no matter whatever, like people can make some crazy shit. But what people are missing the mark of is like, is this somebody that like that I can trust? Is this somebody that I believe in?
Right.
Within the context of that, right? Like colors, palette, design, your face, how your face is presented, what you say within any piece of content that you put out. That's what's going to make people believe in you. That people are like, man, like I believe in that guy because I know he's somebody who put in the time. He's somebody that cares ultimately, right?
Exactly.
That's it, right? Like most of the time, like we got brought up in an era of obedience. Be obedient to me, or I'm not gonna give you playing time, or I'm not gonna give you your due. I'm not gonna give you a promotion. No, like I think we need to start approaching within the context of like our youth of optimization. All right, little Timmy, yelling at you is clearly not working.
Right.
But let me find out what ticks for you.
Right.
Okay, you like video games? All right, cool, man. Well, guess what? You may not be, or maybe you will. I don't know. You may not be somebody that is gonna be the most elite athlete, but you're within my care. You're within the parameters of how I'm supposed to spend time with you. How do I help you?
Right.
I'm getting your bread, cool, whatever. But at the same time, like, how do I help you? Like, I'm supposed to be somebody that people trust, bro. Let's talk video games. Let's talk this and that. Hey, bro, like, you know, blah blah. Hey, bro, listen, like, you know, like talking about video games, whatever. I need you to run this 40. I need you to like push yourself. You know what I mean? Like you would in video games. You know, like give me your time. Like really push yourself here. You know, with the health benefits or whatever you do. Whatever you just feel accomplishment from this training session now, like take that into whatever you do later, you know? It's tough, man, because like for me, like, right, like even raising a dog is crazy, bro. Cause you're like, I don't have a kid yet, but like you really think about raising a dog, I'm like, nah, like, you know, shut up and just do it my way. Right. But then I'm like sitting back and it's really hard. But like I need to be able to like look at my dog and be like, how do you best respond to me?
Right.
It is praise. Okay, like discipline and being hard on you works sometimes, but I need to even understand like where I should draw the line and be able to take a step back and figure out like how do I get your buy-in to me?
Yeah, that's coaching. That's coaching 101. That's like influence. That's like people influence 101, bro. And like when it comes to coaching, like, you know, one day me and you are going to be fathers or in whatever it is, but it's like you either like coach someone to behave a certain way or you do nothing and allow them to behave a certain way. You know what I'm saying? Either way, it's coaching. You know what I'm saying? You either allow a behavior or you coach a behavior. You know what I'm saying? So it's like you need to. That's what we do. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. That's what we do. That's how you influence people, and you have to find, just like you said, like just like you said before, is like, bro, there's coaches still to this day. But even when I grew up, like this is just like you said before. It's like this is how I grew up. This is how my coach coached me. This is my tradition. This is how we do things here. Like, it doesn't matter who you are, how you respond, what your motivations are, whatever it is, like, this is how we're going to do it. And that's the wrong fucking way. Like, you're supposed to coach. You said earlier, like, coach the person in front of you. You know what I'm saying? Because that's what coaching is. That's what influencing people is. You know what I'm saying? And that's how you have an impact on people. You know, not just some cookie cutter, old school, fucking obedience type shit, or like, you're too young for this, you're not old enough yet type shit. You know what I'm saying? Because you're right. That's the type of shit. Like that's the generation we grew up on. Is like, now you're too young for that. Like you're too young to make 100K. You're too young to be a manager. You're too young to be a director. You know what I'm saying? That's literally what we came up on.
Yeah, man. It's not. I'm running into young folks now that I'm like, I'm just so excited for like certain people, but I'm like, it's funny because like they like the 19, 20-year-olds. Like shout out to the other homies that like I know. That like I have the blessing to like shed some wisdom on from time to time, whether they call me a mentor or not. I see so much potential in a lot of like the 19 and 20-year-olds. There's definitely going to be a generation after them that's going to be probably a little bit more optimized as far as like understanding mental health and how to be constructive about it and how to be optimized as human beings within like their given hardware. That's it, right? Like we're all hardwired just differently. Yeah. So to be able to harness that and to be objective and like, all right, like clearly there's a discrepancy at work. I can't hide into my shell and just afford not to respond because a confrontation scares some people. Not me, like, you know, for the most part, like everybody's scared on some level, but for me, I'm normally okay with it. But some people might be scared of confrontation.
Right.
But it's business time. Objectively, there are key points and markers that we need to do in order to make sure that business stays on schedule. What do I got to do within my mental health to overcome that obstacle?
Yeah.
I think there is going to be a generation of that where it's going to be like, all right, optimize teamwork. I learned about this, and hopefully a better school system or a better mentorship. Okay, like, I understand what you're saying. Can we go about it this way? That's objectively like where we need to get to, even though we're all hardwired differently, right? But for the young folks that I'm even mentoring now, I hope they can continue to grapple with that and continue to expand. And that's just my job, man, is to help them figure out like what they're capable of within their given resources, help them optimize that in their problem solving. And then that's it, bro. That's all we can ask for, you know, because everybody responds differently. So just got to be able to help them.
Yeah, bro. And on that note of like, you know, you mentoring people and, you know, you show love to so many people, and like me included. And I'll just take this opportunity to say this is like, it's crazy because I talk about you to other people so much because like this wouldn't have happened without you, bro. This wouldn't have happened. I wouldn't have left my previous employer if it wasn't for you. I wouldn't have, you know, had the confidence to go out on my own if it wasn't for you, bro. You were coming at me for like a year straight. You know what I'm saying? You were coming at me for a year straight, chipping away at me, bro, telling me like, bro, you're too good, you're too smart, you're too whatever, like to be working for someone else. And bro, we talk like at least once a week, if not twice or 3 times sometimes, you know, say on the phone. And bro, you stayed tapped in on me, and just thank you, bro, for real.
Yeah,
like,
man.
I mean, it's meant a lot, like empowering people, you know what I'm saying? You never know who you're going to impact. And like somehow you saw it in me. And I thank you for that, because you saw some shit in me that I didn't see, and you believed in me a way that I didn't even believe in myself. And yeah, bro, like I don't even know what I'm capable of, you know what I'm saying? Or I didn't even know what I was capable of. So, you know, I appreciate you. Just wanted to give you your flowers from that perspective, bro. You're the homie for real.
Thank you, bro.
Yeah,
Thank you.
Of course.
Thank you, man. And right back at you, bro. You've helped me. You definitely helped me along the way, bro. Like dial me back, you know, because I've definitely felt like, you know, my mind was even racing a lot of times, but I appreciate you being able to break it down in the simplest forms to allow me to just, you know, be easy on myself too, you know. And I appreciate that, bro, about our friendship, because that's important, man. I needed that, you know. And yeah, you inspire me daily too, bro. Like a lot of these guys that you're impacting and what you're doing is important, man. Yeah, it really is. So
no, thank you.
I appreciate you, bro.
Yeah, not for real. All right, bro. Let's have some fun, and then we'll leave it at that.
Bet.
All right, bro. So I'm gonna ask you 5 random questions. They could be as long or short as you want them to be. I love this one though. All right, you have a reservation for at any bar. I know you don't drink, but let's say you're about to eat some bomb ass food. You're about to sit down for dinner. You have a reservation. You can bring 5 other people to this reservation. It could be anybody, like dead or alive. Who are some people you want to kick it with, learn from, talk to, whatever. Bro,
it's crazy that like I saw that question before, and I was like even thinking about it. I was like, man, I mean, obviously Kobe's one. Yeah, for real. I want to say like Jackie Chan even.
Wow, Jackie Chan. I love that
Jackie Chan's
guy,
a great one. I grew up on him. That would be great. I want to say Popovich.
Oh wow, I love that.
Maybe even Warren Buffett, I guess. You know, it's funny. I know so little about him. But I think I mentioned him because like just like the emphasis that he has so much on character and like just everything that he's accomplished himself is
stupid.
Yeah, it's insane. So I mean, I'm assuming him. I guess I would say him. Who's that? Was that 3?
Who's that? That was Kobe, Jackie Chan. Who'd you say?
Yeah, Warren Buffett.
Okay.
Yes, that's 3. 4 and 5. Christopher Nolan.
Okay.
That would just trip me, bro. Like I know that combo would probably be so like out of left field. I mean, it would just be so like we really have to be homies for like the amount that I would want to nag him for, you know? Because I'd be just like, how, like, you know, how this and that. I think that would be a good one. Those are all creative things that I would have, you know. There's obviously basketball. There's basketball. There's, you know, business, and then there's obviously, movies. Who's the last person? Maybe I'll think of the last person by the end of this podcast. But yeah, it's definitely within the context of like, honestly, human development, whoever that is, being a person, understanding people, and just, honestly, I think somebody within that context, like just somebody who's just been through so much to be able to kind of like speak with, I don't know, is that Jesus? But
Martin Luther King is one.
Yeah.
As you were saying, that's the first person I thought of.
Yeah, somebody like that, man.
Something like that for sure. All right, bet. All right, this one's gonna be fun, and I'm rocking the Dreamers because I know you'd appreciate that. But top favorite artists, your top 5 artists of all time.
Top 5, I would obviously say, obviously J. Cole. I think Bruno Mars is up there.
Oh shit, I was not expecting that. That's that Filipino side of you.
Yeah, him. Giving him his flowers. I just believe that because he always got like the whole like, oh, he's a cookie cutter artist of the past or whatever, right?
Yeah.
But it's like, if his sound wasn't so unique, why are people listening to him?
No, for sure.
The guy is a master.
Right,
I think he's somebody that, maybe it is somebody within music, right? I think maybe somebody within music and being able to vibe with somebody musically, right? Or like figure out their I guess J. Cole then. Yeah, there you go. That's my 5th one. There's J. Cole.
That's the table right there.
I think Cole is like, one of them. But anyways, like, those two. Michael Jackson, somebody I grew up on. And that's somebody who's always just influenced me as like, just a young kid who's looking for like creativity. Those 3 top 5 artists of all time, right?
Yeah, whoever.
I guess like Usher. I guess Justin Timberlake. Those are like, JT, the NSYNC days and all of that. I grew up on that era.
Yeah, I grew up on that too, for sure.
Yeah, I guess that would be the 5.
Yeah, that was my second album I ever had, Justified.
Yeah.
It was fire, not gonna lie.
Transcending for sure, I would say,
Yeah. All right, speaking of albums, bro, give me 1 or 2 albums you can listen to with no skip. I already know what you're gonna say, but no skips, bro. 1 or 2.
Yeah, I guess Forest Hills. Forest Hills. No, not Forest Hills. I'm sorry. It'd either be at least just for one artist. It either have to be Off Season or Born Sinner. Those are my 2 favorite projects. Obviously, I love all the mixtapes.
Yeah.
I love all of them, bro. I love them so much.
Friday Night Lights.
Yeah, Friday Night Lights, Easy is amazing.
Yeah.
I ironically enough, like the warm up was something that I didn't really appreciate until I saw him do it live for the Dollar and the Dream tour. That was crazy, bro. Like his performance, like how he's able to perform and his stage presence was nuts.
No, yeah.
But yeah, any of those projects, anything Cole. And then honestly, bro, like I found like that 24 Karat with Bruno Mars is like insane to me. So simple, amazing engineering, simple lyrics, vocals are crazy, and it was honestly at a time where I really needed something uplifting and something to like kind of be consistent.
Yeah.
Because stand-up comedy, and honestly that album was like helping me out like mentally a lot when I was really in those dark times in Texas when I was waiting for that phone to ring to get that last like pro job.
Yeah.
So yeah, I'd probably say those 2.
Bet. I love that. Dope, bro. Top 5. Who are your 5 favorite athletes of all time?
Kobe, Bron, right away. Gilbert Arenas. Yeah,
Oh,
I'll definitely stick with hoopers at this point.
Yeah, it's all good. I just don't like Gil talks too much shit, bro. But
yeah, he does. He talks wild crazy.
He's crazy,
That's
bro.
definitely his brand. Athletes in general?
Yeah, bro.
I mean, shoot, man. I feel like I could find so many better ones that that just stand up for so much more than just athletics.
No, bro, this is your favorite, bro. It could be any. This is your list. Don't matter.
Yeah. I'll definitely save. I'm gonna nurture a spot because I can't think of anybody, but for somebody who really stands up for so much more than just whatever sport that they're in and has done like so much for that given cause, whoever that person is, there's a lot of those. I would say that person. Maybe like just D. Will or Shaq. Honestly, yeah.
Okay.
Like, I mean,
Darren Williams?
yeah, Darren Williams.
wow.
Just because I like to model my game after him when I was
Yeah.
younger. But I would say Shaq, though. Shaq is probably one of those people, too, man, who just unforgivingly has gone out into the world and tried to do so much for the people that he's encountered.
Yeah.
And he's been able to, like, make money, monetize, like, himself as a person, like, for so
I was
long.
gonna say, and for himself. He has 1 million commercials, bro.
Yeah, man. Like, he's just definitely somebody that's just phenomenal. Hope to meet him someday.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Not for real.
Those are my 5, I guess.
That dude transcends basketball too, bro. He was a police officer. He got his doctorate or PhD or something.
Mm-hmm.
Bro, he's done so much. It's crazy.
Insane.
All right, bro. Last one. Let's go deep for a second.
Uh-huh.
I love this question, but like when things get tough, like where do you go? Where do you draw your strength from? You know, what brings you back to doing what you gotta do?
My people, man, for sure. It's I think about my family. I think about my best friend Aunt. I think about obviously like Trish, my girlfriend. I think about my little cousin Elijah. I think about a lot of even his family. Think about a lot of people, bro, like within my immediate circle, like people in my head where I'm like, I need to help them.
Right.
Not that they need help, but like those are people, and not even just them. There's like obviously a lot more that I think of when they're like my why, man. Them and a lot of different causes that like me and my girlfriend, like our dream is to run medical missions together. And like for the Philippines, because man, like they need it, bro. And obviously like and within that context, like of Christianity, I don't know if like God needs to be within that language, like for certain countries, because they already have that. Yeah. But like within, like, without that being necessarily the focus, but at the same time being able to spread the word and to do enough, right? Yeah. Obviously the objective is to help people.
Yeah.
I don't believe that sitting there and reciting scripture word by word and having a structured Bible time with everybody, which I do think like understanding the Bible is important, but I don't know if that's the right approach yet. But I do know that I want people to understand that, like, yeah, obviously, like, God and Jesus have really paved a way for me to be successful. I wouldn't be here without him. And at the same time, like, help give that out while at the same time helping folks within anything, man. Like, I've done missions in the Philippines before. I've given out books, gave out Christmas presents to certain barangays and villages. And, yeah, man, my why is, and like when things get tough, bro, I think about my why. I think about the people that I want to help in the future. And that's not giving out handouts, but it is giving them resources to be successful and to help them live lives that is attainable. Like I just want to help them, man. They've done so much for me. I know that things aren't fluid within understanding the context of how to live, but I want to help people get there, man. My why is being able to facilitate growth within others through their own endeavors. Yeah. Whatever they want to do, like I want to help, bro. Like I want to be a part of that. I want to be there with them. I feel like I think what makes me different too is that I've been jaded by a lot of people. Yeah. I still believe in people, man. Yeah, I run into people all the time, and we have one interaction, and I'm like, until they mess that up, you know what I mean? Like I rock with them. I mean, even if they do mess it up, like, and we don't talk again, we don't connect again, I still believe in them. I know like some people, it's like, it's so crazy, bro. I have like this crazy like energy of like fuck you, all right, like, blah blah, like, oh, that's how you want to be, like, bet, but at the same time, on the flip side, it's so ironic because I actually do want everyone to win. Yeah, I do. I've been wronged so many times, like big time, whatever, disrespected. I still want them to win, man. They're human beings. They're figuring it out. I'm broken. I'm no better. Yeah. I literally just want to, I know there's only so much of myself that I can give out, but I do want to help folks, and I do want folks to just help themselves, and I want to see people win, man. There's just there's too much hate in the world. I hate, so I'm still navigating that, but yeah, bro, that's where I draw my strength from.
No, that's beautiful for real, bro. And like what you just said, like being jaded by so many people, and like, so that's something I relate with, is because like, bro, I've seen so many people like make the wrong decisions or treat me poorly for no reason or whatever it is. But I always, for whatever reason, like their decisions to treat me a certain way or whatever they did a certain way never affected me as a person, because I always treated like, your problems have nothing to do with me, and if I allow you to change me and my approach or how I approach people, or allow this incident or these incidents to like influence the way I treat people, then I'm fucked. Like I have to stay true to myself, and you know, saying stay true. I feel like it is hard, but like there is no other choice, and I feel bad for people who allow that to happen to them. You know what I'm saying? Because like you're now a product of an incident, and now you're letting this incident like define you in a way. You know what I'm saying? And that's sad. You know, like you can't be doing that. You have to be true to yourself, and like if shit happens, you have to let it roll off, or you deal with it. You deal with it, or you let it roll off, and you move on with your life. But you have to be yourself. So,
no, that's huge.
Yeah.
It's funny because I honestly like I wouldn't have pinned you like that when we first met. Because
Really?
I forgot what we were talking about when we first met at that King's convention. Shout out to Ramsey, Evan,
shout out to
Ern,
Ram, for
everybody.
sure.
But bro, like, and Jay Wash. But it's just so funny, bro, that like when we first met, because I knew you came from like, you know, where we came from or whatever.
We were talking hella shit. That's how we related, bro.
Yeah.
We were talking hella shit.
We were talking hella shit. And I don't know, like there was like this elitist comment that kind of like came out of you one time, and I was like, all right, I don't know about this guy.
Yeah.
And then when it came to us working at Monarch so briefly together, there was like a time where like me like getting in there or whatever, like it was based off of like your responses or whatever. It was like kind of iffy because like at the time like you just deal with so many different types of responses.
Yeah.
And then you eventually brought me in and we started talking, and nah, man, it was really refreshing to know that like as much as I talk shit, because I feel like I talk a lot of shit, and it's good, bro. You know, it's constructive in a way. But honestly, I need to be better at it, you know, for giving context. But at the same time, I did appreciate like you always like anytime this even happens with us, and anytime you always give me another perspective. It's great, bro. It is needed. You know, it's something that allows me to, yeah, man, just be true to myself, just like kind of how you said. Because at the same time, like although people jade us and we need to keep going, there are better ways of handling it and having like that balance, you know.
Yeah.
Because ultimately that's what we need, bro. Like sometimes like we ask for something, or sometimes we are trying to build a relationship, or sometimes we're trying to just get to a certain place, and there's people that are within the vicinity of us on that certain part of our road, and sometimes it just doesn't work out that way.
Yeah.
But you just got to keep going and handle it with grace, for sure.
Yeah. Not for sure. And that's big influences. Like that's Kobe right there, bro. It's just like stay true to yourself and stay true to your path. Like that's, you know, that's something I've always believed in and been influenced by, for sure.
For sure, man.
Yeah, bro.
Absolutely believe in that.
All right, last thing for real. What's next for you, bro? What do you got going on? What do you got cooked up? What's next, bro?
Man, working on this new proprietary brand with my partner. That's gonna be fun. Helping another girl with her startup and like an all female footwear offering. That's been like, honestly, it's been a ton of fun. It's been a ton of fun, man.
That's dope.
Working on that with her, and then also too like just building Chapter 3 and helping folks build out their own original lines for sneakers. So talking to a few people right now, probably can't say, but at the same time, like it is something that if I could leave anybody with anything with, is like right now, like currently, like no, we're not where we want to be, but we understand the niche in the market and that it is coming. But at the same time, like we have to be patient and understand, just how to honestly like why it makes sense.
Right.
For us, like, you know, business wise, like it makes sense because of X, Y, and Z. From an artist perspective of who they want to influence and why they're trying to come up with an offering such as sneakers, why it makes sense to them, and the communication between folks, where it's just like, hey, like, this is something I want to do. Like hearing those things and understanding how to make it make sense for business, for them and for us, getting a lot of mentorship, a lot of feedback, and simplifying that model, because a lot of times like the way we wanted to go about it didn't make sense completely, but the more we refine that process continuously over and over and over, that's what's allowed us to build that faith and wanting to change the industry and do something riveting, because I do believe that we're going to change the industry, and it's coming, man. You know, it's coming for sure.
Hell yeah. No, I love to hear that, bro. All right. Well, shit. That's it, bro. Look, I'm proud of you. I love you, bro.
Thank
and
you.
I
love you too, man.
Seriously, I appreciate everything you've done for me and everything you do for other people too, bro. It's big time.
Thank you, bro. I appreciate you, bro.
Cool.
Thank you.
Yeah, of course. All right, y'all. That's it for today. Make sure to like, subscribe, do all the things, show love, please. We're trying to reach more people and help more people out. All right, peace.